Let's see. Very. Hello, everyone. So I've just gone live today to speak about spiritual philosophy and spiritual science. And these are big words, but essentially, spiritual science is the understanding of who we are. And I use the word science because it's an experiential investigation. Let's just say for now. Hello, Jay. How's it going? So, spiritual science and spiritual philosophy. Both of these fields, spiritual science and spiritual philosophy, pertains to the first flame of our threefold flame, right? So just a reminder, the threefold flame is the flame of wisdom, love, and the last flame is action. So wisdom, love, and action. So when we're speaking about spiritual philosophy and spiritual science, it pertains to wisdom, right? And wisdom is important because it gives us a contemplative and experiential way to understand ourselves, to know ourselves, and to feel ourselves, right? If we don't know ourselves, how can we feel ourselves? And Jay has said chakras. Well, it's not just a chakra, it's a more of a divine quality that it is related to the chakras, but it's more expansive than the chakras, right? Because wisdom is not just the third eye, wisdom governs much more expansive than just the chakras, but the chakras are interrelated to wisdom. So spiritual science and spiritual philosophy. Let's begin with spiritual science, because spiritual philosophy arises from spiritual science. And the first step towards understanding spiritual science is understanding who you are. What is the nature of consciousness? What is the nature of myself, right? And the reason that's the first step in spiritual science is that whatever you are affects whatever you perceive. So I'm going to repeat that one more time. Whatever you are, or the nature of you, affects or influences what you perceive. And just in the same way, whatever you are, your true nature, affects the way you feel. So whatever you are, whatever is your true nature, whatever is your essence, affects everything else. Why? Because it is through the faculty of this self, whatever this self is, that we experience the world, right? Imagine you have a microscope and you're looking through the microscope to see the cells and the atoms and the particles, right? And you ask the question, I want to know about the particles. And that's an interesting question. But the more important question is, what is this technology that I'm using to look into the cells and the atoms, right? And unless we know this technology, unless we understand it, we cannot have any idea what we're perceiving and what we're perceiving is made of, right? We can't just take for granted that the microscope is going to give us the truth as it is, because it's a microscope, it's a interface, right? So let's think about this. Whatever we are affects whatever the world is, because it's through us that we experience the world. So the first step towards spiritual science is understanding ourselves. Science is about the physical world, right? And the space-time dimension. But the question scientists don't consider is that even space-time is experienced. You don't just have space-time as it is. Space-time is experienced through the interface of thoughts, perception, and the interface of ourself. It is through ourself that we know about physical world. So even physical science is affected by the nature of ourself. So spiritual science is a big word, but really what I mean by spiritual science is just the science that affects every other science, or the meta science, right? Or the science of the self. Because whatever the self is will affect the physical world, because it's through the self that you're perceiving the physical world, right? So we can't really understand the nature of the universe without understanding the nature of the self, because again, it's through the self that the universe is perceived and understood. So wisdom is really about clearly understanding, knowing, and feeling experientially who you are. And I don't want this to be an intellectual practice. I want this to be experiential. So the first step towards spiritual science is understanding that your physical body is not just the nature of reality. Like, it's not just the nature of yourself, because when you open your eyes and you see physicality, physicality itself is a perception. It's not just, you can't just take it for granted, right? This physical system, whatever it is a perception. But what is behind the perception? And we can say consciousness or awareness. Awareness or consciousness is prior to the experience of the physical world and the experience of our physical bodies. Because you say to yourself, I am aware of my physical body. You never say to yourself, my physical body is aware of me. It's never the reverse, right? It's always the case that you, as awareness, are aware of sensations, perceptions, and the physical body. So that's the interesting thing, right? Most people look at the physical body and look at the brain and they say, well, that's who I am. If you are this awareness that is prior to the physical universe, right? Because again, before you see anything, before you perceive anything, before you know anything, before you are a physical body, if you close your eyes, you are just this empty awareness, this field of presence. And then you open your eyes and then you create matter with perception. And you create time with thinking about past and future. But really, all you experience is this presence of awareness. And then within this presence of awareness, you experience the physical dimension, the physical world. So again, the physical world is experienced through the self, through the awareness, right? So spiritual science is about understanding that awareness is the nature of ourself and not physicality. Now, when awareness looks at itself, when awareness begins to create diversity and create creation, it projects a material world or projects a space-time interface, right? So space-time interface is a projection of the awareness. So we're not saying space-time is not real. We're only saying in spiritual science. I've got a little bit of a cold, so I apologize for a little bit. My voice is clogged up, but yeah, in spiritual science, it's important to know that what you are is this pure awareness, and what the universe is also pure awareness. So spiritual science affects physics, biology, chemistry, and all the other sciences, simply because spiritual science is the science of the self, through which you learn about every other science, right? It's through perceptions of our mind, is through the perceptions of it's through our feelings, it's through our awareness that we come to study the physical world. So a spiritual science is the highest science. And when you realize, hello, Otto, how's it going? Thank you for being here. When you realize that the nature of yourself is this pure awareness, and also the nature of the universe is also this pure awareness, because how do you know the nature of the universe is physicality? How do you know that? It's through the being aware of it that you know. And the more you dig deep into experience, you realize that experience is nothing but awareness. Like everything you see around you is an activity of awareness. It couldn't be any other thing, because if you pay attention to your own experience right now, I invite you, pay attention. Everything is this ocean of awareness all around you, isn't it? And within this ocean, within this sphere of awareness, within it, there is perceptions of color, shape, but the mind looks at those perceptions and says, that is a different substance, and I call that matter. But matter is experience within awareness, isn't it? Like right now, my microphone, it's a material thing, right? Is what is my microphone? Okay, I'll call this matter. All right, let's call this matter for now. This material thing is still experience, isn't it? And for something to be experienced, you must be aware of it, right? Okay, if I'm aware of this, and this microphone is within my field of experience, and I must be aware of the microphone, right? For experience to be possible, everything I'm experiencing is within awareness. And I'm not experiencing anything outside of awareness. I'm aware of the mic. I'm not just seeing the mic as it is. Awareness pervades all aspects of our experience. So the duality between matter and consciousness or mind, I mean mind only in this particular sense of consciousness, is not real. So this duality you see in between your thoughts, your thinking, between your feeling, between this awareness that you are, and the physicality, is not a real duality, because everything around you is awareness. And awareness, in the form of the microphone, decided, okay, I'm gonna create these shapes and these colors. So this microphone is just awareness in its particular modulation. It's like a setting of awareness. Awareness is empty and pure, but when it projects itself, it can create objects. So matter is just consciousness in activity, in movement, in motion, right? Why does this matter? Like, why am I even saying it? Is That's the question, right? Because to truly become a powerful creator of our reality, to fulfill our destiny, to become this powerful being that we are, to become infinite, powerful, to tap into our powers, latent abilities, we have to first know ourselves, know thyself, right? Wisdom is the first step towards knowing thyself. So spiritual science really comes from Rudolf Steiner, who coined the term spiritual science. And it's not a science that is like, oh, it's crazy, or it's woo woo, or it's out of this world. Spiritual science is just science. That's the thing you got to understand. Spiritual science is not a crazy idea, or it's not a woo woo science. It's just the science of the self. But the beauty of that science, of spiritual science, which is different to physics, biology, and chemistry, is that a spiritual science is experiential, because we are asking the question, what is the self? Who am I? And that question, what is the self, or who am I, can be tackled experientially. So if I ask you the question, just close your eyes and become aware of your thoughts. And you see that you shine this light of awareness towards your thoughts. And then I say, okay, become aware of my microphone in front of you on TikTok. And now you shine the light of awareness towards the microphone, right? And now I ask you, okay, don't shine the light of awareness towards an object. Shine the light of awareness towards awareness. And it's difficult because in every case, when you shine the light of awareness towards an object, you see an object, you see shapes, colors, you see objects with objective qualities. And objective qualities just means shape, color, angle, proportion. So this microphone has geometry and shape, and not it can be quantified, right? It's quantifiable. But when I ask you the question, become aware of awareness, there's nothing there for me to quantify. But if I sync my attention, so my attention and my awareness previously was going towards objects, right? Towards my thoughts, towards this microphone. But now I'm asking you to sync the attention, sync it. By syncing, I mean relax the attention. You don't need to find or see or look because you already are this self that is pure awareness. So there's no need to look, there's no need to direct this attention. In fact, attention needs to rest in its source, which is pure awareness. So I'll continue this topic some other time. I do have to go now, but I just wanted to give you a little dose of spiritual science, what it is, and what it entails. And that is powerful because it's an experiential route to wisdom that requires you to go within yourself, become aware of who you are, become aware that you are not the physical body, the objects that you see around you. You are this awareness that is free from all the limitations of space and all the limitations of time. Now, there's a lot more I can go into, but if any of you is interested in anything I'm saying, you can go and book yourself a discovery call with me if you wanted to use spiritual science for self-discovery and becoming a powerful creator of your own reality. Because to become a powerful creator of your own reality, you must know yourself, know who you are, not intellectually, but experientially. Wisdom is not about intellect. Wisdom is about direct experience of who you are. So if you wanted to explore that with me one-to-one, go and book yourself a discovery call via my TikTok profile. And again, I combine philosophy, contemplation, which is experiential philosophy, to help in my coaching and to help you discover who you are, which then allows you to know your power, your deep essence, that is this power that is generating the world around you already. This awareness that we talked about is the creative force all around us. So if you wanted to dive deep into spiritual science, spiritual philosophy, and how we can use these contemplative practices for becoming a powerful creator and manifesting our dream life, then go and book yourself a discovery call via my TikTok profile. I work with people one-to-one. I help them know themselves, love themselves, and then become the creator. Wisdom, love, and action. But before you can act, before you can get rid of your self-doubt and become fearless, you have to know yourself. You gotta love yourself. But what are you loving, right? So know thyself is really the first step. That's why I was speaking of spiritual science and spiritual philosophy, because these two fields give you the clarity and the deep experiential understanding of who you are. And then you can love yourself because now you have a clarity on what the self is to love. What is the self that I'm loving, anyways? And then the love of the self and the knowledge of the self together can be poured out into the third flame, which is about action. And your third flame, the flame of action, is the flame that allows you to bring love and wisdom and pour it forth towards your goals and dreams. So if you wanted to dive one to one, to go deep into contemplative practices, self-love, and becoming a powerful manifester of your dream reality, go and book yourself a discovery call. You can find a link on my TikTok profile. Just want to answer a few questions. How can you tell other people, who they are or what they are? So this is a really good question. You're not telling people who they are, what they are, because I believe that we are not people. Essentially, we are this universe that is expressing itself in multiplicity and diversity of us, of all of us. There's just this oneness that is simultaneously experiencing itself through our minds, right? So I'm not telling people who they are. I am rather speaking to the part of you that already knows who you are. So with these questions, and I'm not also telling you what you are or who you are. I'm only igniting within you with these questions certain experiences. So if I ask you the question, become aware of awareness, and then I say, what do you experience? So it's all about inner exploration, and it's not about me telling you what you are, because if you disagree, you can disagree and you can say, well, I'm not experiencing anything, and then I will push you again with another question to go deeper. And with these questions, you're just going deeper and deeper and deeper to yourself, to the point where you're not wearing any clothes, so to speak, as a metaphor. You have gotten rid of your thoughts, your feelings, your personality, and then ask you the question, if you're not your thoughts, your personality, your feelings, your physical body, what is your naked true self? Like, what is the thing that is essential to you? The thing that never changes in you? And if you work with me one to one, this is a very slow contemplative practice, whereas right now I'm doing it live. But in this practice, you are going within yourself and you remove yourself of thoughts, of feeling, of sensation. Then you ask yourself the question, who am I? The only thing that is left behind is this pure, empty, aware being, right? So it's about inner exploration, and it's not about me telling you what people are. And it's not about people that I'm talking about. It's about your true self, which is beyond persons. If I wanted to tell about persons, then I would have to go into the field of numerology and astrology, which is not my area of expertise. So I'm not going to tell people what they are, who they are on that level of personhood, but I'm going to ignite within you your own inner understanding of your higher self, which is your I am presence, or your awareness of being. I is awareness, and am refers to being. So when you say I am, you say awareness of being, or an aware being, a being that is aware, right? Let's see any other questions. Any more questions, guys? If you have, I'm gonna stay for a little while, maybe 5 more minutes. For anyone who joined, we're speaking of spiritual philosophy, spiritual science, not as fanciful tools, but as powerful technology to transform our mind, to awaken to who we are on the deepest level, or in other words, to access the divine anchorage of wisdom. And wisdom is about knowing ourselves. How do I get out of fear about my children? Do you believe in opening a third eye? Let me start with the easiest question. Do you believe in opening a third eye? I'm not sure what you're saying. Do you believe in? Because believe in can mean different things. But if you mean, do I believe the third eye is real? Then of course I believe it is real because one of the things that I have experienced in my life is claircognizance, which is the idea that there is understanding and wisdom that just gets poured through me. So suddenly I get a flash of insights, and it's called claircognizance. And I believe claircognizance, which is the idea of suddenly you filled in, filled with wisdom and understanding in just a flash of lightning. That is the activity of the third eye. That is your connection to the higher dimensions. So let's go with Khalid. How do I get out of fear by my children that they do not reply to me? You know, what I'm gonna say is not gonna be the thing you want to hear, but I'll start with this one first. Is that you're never gonna fully get rid of fear because that comes from an underlying belief that fear can be overcome. So there is an underlying feeling that you fear, if that makes sense. You are fearful of being in fear. Or in other words, you are resisting fear. So let's let me just, how do I get out of fear about my children? So you can't really get out of the fear, but what you can do is to be okay with the fear, is to accept the fear as it is. And people resist life, and they resist suffering, and they resist pain, and they resist losing the things that they one day will lose. Let me just be clear. One day, everyone, all of you are going to lose everything. You're gonna lose your family, you're gonna lose your friends, you're gonna lose your businesses. One day life will end in this, like in this life. One day we'll die and we'll go to the next life. So knowing that, instead of running away from that reality, we gotta go towards it. So going towards the fear, because fear is part of this dimension. So if you're running away from fear, you're resisting the experience of fear. But then after being in the flow with the fear, we all fear of losing every exactly. So Khalid, you gotta be okay with the fear of losing everything. You have to be okay. Think, just imagine right now, you've lost everything. Everything you ever loved, you've lost. Practice being okay with that. Practice being okay with losing everything. So that's a practice of non-attachment. And it's not something you just say, I am. It's a practice. So you gotta practice. You gotta imagine. You gotta say to yourself with affirmation and with feeling, I am okay with everything that arises. I'm not attached to anything in the physical world except my own true self, or in a religious language, God. I only love God, and I'm unattached to all things, including my family, friends, physical life, my career, everything that you love and care. One day you're going to lose. So we need to practice non attachment to those things. Because if you're not attached to them, now listen to this carefully. If you're not truly attached to the things that you love, you will never you'll never fear losing them. That's the key point. Be okay with who you are now and where you are right now, because that's a practice of flow and practice of acceptance. if you are in acceptance of your current situation, if you are in acceptance of your future situation, whatever that is the highest prayer. So being in a state of surrender, that's what I'm looking for. That's the word surrender. If you have no friends, what is the universe trying to teach you other than loving yourself? Exactly. Beautiful from Nia. If you have no friends or if you're not currently in a relationship, the universe is trying to get you to fully embrace yourself and accept yourself and love yourself. But as I said, we cannot fully love ourselves if we do not know who ourself is. So that's why know thyself is essential. And that's why I do what I do. That's the work I do is about igniting within you the threefold flame of wisdom, love, and understanding. Sorry, wisdom, love, and power. So I have to go now. Thank you guys for joining. And again, if you want to work with me one to one, to know thyself, to love thyself, and to become a powerful creator, to manifest your dream life, you can go and book yourself a free discovery call with me via a link that is on my TikTok profile. And I'd love to meet you guys and see if we can work together. All right. Have a great, great day, and I'll see you soon.